Uh, Downtown is about 1 square mile, and we try to make sure that it is something that the students are actively engaged in shaping their place, because it is y'all's place. And so this summer, one thing we did to do that is we launched a large intern program called the Mod Squad. And so we're excited to kind of talk more about that later. But I've asked two of you, one of our Mod Squad members and then one of my staff members who previously served as an intern way back in the day, and then is coming on full time with us to join us as well.
Thank you. Let's meet those folks. Aaron, would you get us started with introductions, please?
Sure, yeah. My name is Aaron Shipley. I was a student intern with Downtown this last summer. I'm currently a junior. I'm studying music industry studies here at UTA.
And Garrett, I saved you for last because you're the role model. You are what UTA students want to have happen, right? So could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your experience?
Yeah, well, my name is Garrett Martin. I'm a UTA graduate as well, from the business school, marketing and management. At UTA, I was really passionate about downtown Arlington. I was always calling it UTA's backyard, and just frustrated with the limited amount of engagement that we had. But it was kind of a personal mission to get people out here. And then once I realized there was an actual organization that had that as their role of placemaking, it was kind of a dream job and a dream opportunity to pop up to work for them. And so I came on as an intern, an unpaid intern, in the spring of my last year in 2018. And there's no positions available at that time, but every single time there was an opportunity, I was here working for them. And then whenever an opportunity did pop up to come on full time, I jumped for it for working as a contractor for a year. So really happy to be here, really happy to be serving UTA in downtown.
And I want to make sure I understood you correctly. And I think it's a great lesson to students. Aisha and I talk a lot about paid versus unpaid internships, and the value of unpaid internships. And we closely review and vet every internship that's posted with us in Handshake, especially for our Edge partners. But you said that you started with an unpaid opportunity that turned into a full-time gig, right?
Yep, that's correct. It was just something that I was incredibly passionate about, that was fulfilling enough, and I was able to work another job, and it was flexible enough to allow me to do that. So it was the experience that I gained from that was one, helped me leverage into the job that I had in between this and then here now. So amazing.
Yeah, excellent. Because we students, rightfully so, are hesitant sometimes to take advantage of unpaid opportunities, and it's important for them to understand what they can lead to, right? Whether that be developing your network or a full-time position. It's even more impressive sometimes when students are willing to take an unpaid internship. I always I used to fuss because I was a teacher. Started out as a high school teacher, and the teacher ed, as part of your teacher education program, you have to take student teaching, and in that case, you pay them to do your unpaid internship for 12 weeks of teaching. So I can kind of relate to that, but that's a great story to share. Thank you for sharing it. Before we get into questions and learn a little more about your individual experiences, especially yours, Aaron, we hope if our technology cooperates, that Katie's got a brief overview. If you're able to share screen, we want to test that.
So I'm having a bit of technical difficulties on my end. My computer won't run my PowerPoint at the same time as Teams, so just gonna kind of roll through my overview, if
Awesome.
that works for everyone. So we're really fortunate to when you start thinking about internships, right? When you start thinking about unpaid versus paid opportunities, if you have the financial means to participate in an unpaid internship, it's a great opportunity. But for some of our students, one of the things that was really important to us this summer was trying to make sure that we were being as inclusive as our local community as possible. And so with that, as our organization has grown, we've decided to invest in our internship program by providing $10 an hour, 6 paid positions for students over the summer that their whole focus was helping our cultural arts partners, get their marketing, get some new programs going, help them solve some of the issues that they've had from, having a limited amount of marketing staff available due to the pandemic, not always knowing how to handle things like TikTok or what's the new thing on Facebook, and how to get the local college community more engaged with our organizations. Downtown is a cultural arts district, and we have a lot of awesome entities here, like our Museum of Art, who just had a huge exhibit called the 30 Americans that had a $22 million Basquiat and was ranked like one of the best exhibits in North Texas. That a lot of people don't even know exist. And so the whole goal of the internship was to take our students, take all of this talent we have at the local university, and kind of cross-pollinate, with our cultural arts, showing them what's here, getting the students to use their knowledge of how to share the message of what's there with their groups more, and also allow our students a very strong professional development opportunity, and that they were able to work with 6 or 7 or 8 different kinds of nonprofits, everything from place management to a museum to the theater to Symphony Arlington. There's so many different types of nonprofit organizations that we really wanted to have a mutually beneficial sharing of knowledge and exposure and experience with that program. And so we were really fortunate to start them in June, and we ended the program late August. And we were able to accomplish a lot, I think. So we were really grateful for that. Let me see. I'm trying to think what all parts to cover on that, other than it was a bit of, this internship program is a little unusual. Typically, when you work for an internship, you're working for one company, and ours is kind of more, we treated it more like y'all were an agency, right? And so I would say, okay, we've got Miss Versus Theater of Dance needs a social campaign for this. Who's available? Who's strong at the things that they need to do? Let me divvy out these tasks, and you go work with this group directly, and they kind of served as our clients. And that allowed, our students to get to know everyone at, the dance theater, or get to know everyone at Theater Arlington, try out the different skills that they have, and work together on different projects where they could share strengths on. When we built our team, we didn't build it so that everyone was special at just one thing. We built it to have a well-rounded someone that was really great with technology and being able to code things and help with websites. Someone that, like Aaron, who's got great photography and graphic design skills, but he also comes from a music background. We had social media and PR. We had someone that has a lot of video experience. And so whenever we were trying to make our team, we wanted to make sure that it was something where everyone could learn from each other, while also using their strengths to help benefit these different organizations they were working with.
Thank you. And Katie, I was really impressed with how you structured the program, how you managed the program. I know we talked some about managing it virtually through Teams. And I'd like to maybe ask you a couple questions about program development a little later toward the end, because we may have employers who watch this video who I think might be able to learn something from what you guys were able to do there. But I should, we're excited to talk to the interns and former interns. Would you get us started with questions?
Yeah, sure. Aaron, can you get us started by telling us a little bit more about your role and responsibilities at Downtown Arlington?
Absolutely, yeah. So I came in sort of with my skills in photography and video work and graphics work, as well as just editing and all of those things. So, the interview process was pretty largely based around that, my skill set, and then also sort of generally how I would operate in a business setting. But yeah, it was a great experience. I think one thing to note, like Katie said, is that you're not just interacting with this one business. You're not just interacting with the network that is Downtown Arlington, but you're interacting with all of the businesses that they work with. And so it was a really wonderful experience to get to work for a week or 2 weeks on a specific project for a specific nonprofit. build relationships with those people and create those opportunities. Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. Garrett, what was the application and interview process like for your position at Downtown Arlington?
It was actually pretty unique because I applied for a position that I didn't get, but it was for the administrative assistant position, and I was told, hey, this isn't a position for you. And the person who did get it is amazing and incredible to work with, but Maggie Campbell, our CEO, said, your skills are in line with things that we do need here, though. And so, there's an opportunity for you to come on as a contractor. So I came on working about 12 hours a week and made that leap in February of 2020, great timing, to be working at that time about 12 hours. But that was also an amazing time to develop the skills that were needed. Content became king whenever COVID hit. And so I invested so much time and energy into what this organization needed as far as content and videography especially. And because of that, my hours got boosted to 20, the cap. And so as I developed, it allowed me to jump in with more projects and build new projects based on needs that we all saw in downtown. And so because of that, it was just a contract to hire essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett. But what was your favorite favorite thing about the experience? What did you gain from it?
The internship program or the coming on as an employee?
Both, I guess.
I really enjoyed working with all the students. There's a lot of things that you don't have the capacity for at an organization. There was actually a dark room that was in the bottom of the Arlington Museum of Art that went unused for a long time, and it's for developing film photography. Well, Aaron and his passion for film photography, it was fun to work with him to revitalize that dark room and then to build programming around it, doing photo walks and bringing in photographers to speak about different aspects and then go take that into the field, which Aaron did an amazing job with developing that. It was really fun to see that come to life. But the best part about working at downtown is definitely being able to see community needs, bring people together to make things happen and package new products, and then see people come and enjoy them.
That's amazing. And what was your favorite part about your experience?
Well, Garrett already mentioned that darkroom project, and getting to have, it was something that I had an idea for before this internship, but then getting to work with Downtown Arlington, it allowed me to use that platform to work with this nonprofit and get the ball rolling on it. So that was really exciting. But also, we got to work for about a month of our time on the internship, working towards this music festival that Downtown Arlington put on. And so for me, as a music industry studies major, getting to be involved in the process of planning and booking and putting together graphics for this festival, and then being a part of the media team on that festival. That was a really unique experience, and one that really was informative for me.
That sounds amazing. What tips or advice would you give other UTA students who are seeking an internship? How can they make themselves stand out as an applicant? Garrett, do you want to go first?
I would say just build relationships. Something I was always told by some of my salespeople that are in my family is find the organization you want to work for, contact the CEO or really anybody there and say, hey, I want to work for you guys, or I want to work in this industry. What would you give me? And it's amazing the response that you'll or what advice would you give me? It's amazing the response that you'll get from people that just want to help out somebody who feels passionate. So follow your passion and don't be afraid to reach out to people you don't know.
That's great advice. David and I are always talking about the importance of networking and using LinkedIn to leverage your career. Aaron, do you have any tips and advice for UTA students who are seeking internship?
I mean, like Garrett said, reaching out is huge. I've done that so many times to people in the music industry that would never respond to me. I still send out the emails that are like, hey, I just got some questions about the industry, about your line of work, and every now and then you get a response. I got to interview a producer at a studio in Dallas through sort of just sending out emails, and got to learn a bit more about the business he's involved in. And I didn't get an internship out of it, but that's the sort of approach I take to finding internships, finding jobs.
But you made a contact, so that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we always talk all the time about the most important aspect of the search being networking, and I think that's so confusing and nebulous to students. It's like, how do I network? What is networking? What would be an example of an action that I could take that could help me build my network? You all have mentioned a couple things. Are there any other examples that you may have in your background from networking or a connection that turned into something that you didn't expect? I think students would really benefit by understanding, how do I go about that? I mean, what's my first step? Any thoughts?
So one thing that I did was I saw the first thing I ever went to. There was a film festival in Arlington called Frame for Frame, and they had an open meeting. It was an open planning meeting that anybody could go to, and I saw it on it was meetup.com, and it was just the most amazing thing. And I met so many people that I've worked with for the past 5 years at that meeting, and it was just cool to go to an open meeting. And just looking for those meetings where there'll be a group of people that might be relevant to something you're interested in.
I would just add on, certainly volunteering is huge. There are so many nonprofits in our area that have a ton of volunteer opportunities, especially with things like events that they need help with. And I would say volunteering for an event for a nonprofit is one of the best ways that I know to meet a lot of people in that related community and get to know them very quickly. And it also gives you an opportunity to prove some of your professional skills that you have because you're actively working on tasks with them. And so that helps, show that you would be a valuable member to the team or a valuable add. And I think, especially in Arlington, people respond really well to people that are willing to work hard and put in some time to help each other with various things. I think that goes a long way because even if you can't, get an internship with that specific company, they may have leads for you, or they may have people they can recommend for you to reach out to and help you get connected. I would also just add on joining a community organization, super important. Even if it's just you meet once a month and talk about music, or you meet once a month and you talk about art, or whatever it is that you're passionate about, it's really important to look for those local community groups. It's even on Facebook is a great place to start, so that way you can start diving in and getting to know people.
Thank you so much. Aaron, what do you know now that you wished you knew before you started your internship?
That's a great question. Goodness, let's see. Just how exciting this community is, the downtown Arlington community, and how exciting it is to be a part of its growth. That really took me by surprise. Like, there's so many really exciting businesses that are gaining a lot of momentum right now, and I think especially the museum as a nonprofit and the theater as a they're gaining a lot of momentum right now, and they're in some really exciting places. And so I think there's just a lot of very exciting aspects of this downtown Arlington community that might be invisible to some of the UTA students. So yeah, it's an exciting world to be a part of.
That's cool. Garrett, what did you wish before you started your internship that you knew?
All the people that I knew, I guess. I don't know. I think that's been the funnest thing to learn, and most exciting part of it is definitely meeting all the people that are doing all these cool things, like Aaron said. Is that there's a huge network, and that's something that you just learn so organically is meeting all the folks that are doing stuff. And it would be cool to have walked into a Rolodex, just been able to smile and dial, but you really just got to go out there, and every project you meet 3 to 5 new people, and you just hold on to those contacts, and so networking is definitely like you said, it's very nebulous. The process of it really is just be kind to people, and make them like you organically. um, so I kind of wish I would have understood that better.
No. Um, Aaron, what would you recommend? Why would you recommend interning to other students?
Well, I mean, it's great to begin building your network while you're in school. I'm so grateful that I had that time and I got to meet all of the people I now know and I now have as a great network. But also, interning is great because it's understood that you're yes working and expected to work hard and all of that, but also you're in a learning position and the management around you understands, and I think Katie and Garrett really went about this in a great way. They understood that every experience was a new experience to some extent, and that there was a learning process, and that in some cases I needed to be taught some things. And as a student, I mean, we're used to being in learning environments, obviously, and so it's great to have a little bit of that in the business world as well.
Thank you, Aaron. Garrett, I know you were an intern before you started your full-time position. Why would you recommend interning to other students?
It's just a great way to get relevant experience, and to
Mhm.
like Aaron said, I mean that's the best way to put it. I would have never thought to put it that way, but you are in that learning position, so you have so much more grace on your side, but you have so much more ability to ask questions without feeling stupid, because your job is to literally go in there with probably zero experience, and so yeah, it's definitely a really amazing growth period because of that.
Katie,
Thank you.
I'll put a twist on that question and ask you, why you would recommend that employers set up an internship program and what internships have brought to downtown Arlington before we open it up for a few student questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is just a fantastic way to get a fresh set of eyes on things. I was There were so many things that I learned from the interns themselves, like coming in and telling me about, oh, this thing is a thing, and oh, did you know you can get these free ads? And I so many things I felt like I was learning just as much from them as they were learning from being in our organization. And so I think it's a great way for you to understand as an employer, where are your gaps in perception? Where are your gaps in your marketing? Where are your gaps in, innovating and, staying as efficient as possible? Is your social campaigns really effective? Are they speaking the language they need to speak? It really kind of allowed us to have like a litmus test on a number of different areas of our organization, from everything from how strong is our employee training, what does our HR look like, to we're a very small organization, so I don't get to test that often. Anyways, but everything from, okay, here's how we're going to handle doing all this outreach with our different partners. And so it allowed us to build strong relations with our community as well with this program. It let us test our systems, and it really allowed us to just have that fresh perspective to kind of inject some vitality into our organization, and helped us, pull off some really cool stuff.
Thank you. And we'll take some questions from our student audience who've joined us today. We don't typically do this, but I would like to offer you an opportunity to unmute your mic. If you are camera ready and you're in a position where you can turn that camera on, feel free to do that. We'd like to get a look at you. Again, if you're in a place where you can do that. But we'll give you a little bit of wait time and you can unmute your mic if anyone has any questions. If not, we have a few more before we wrap up. This is that awkward wait time. Oh, here's a question. Let's see. We've got it in the chat.
I think the question is, how do you balance between internship, working, networking, academic, and your personal life?
Yeah, so I think the benefit of this internship is that at least I was in a position that during the summer I wasn't taking classes, and so I didn't have to also balance classes and homework alongside it. But it can be tough. I mean, granted, it was about 15 hours a week is what we were scheduled for. So it wasn't full time, but there was, things on my plate just about every day. I think networking comes naturally. I think if you're doing the job and you're being kind, like Garrett says, and just like, being a generally good person to work around, then networking comes with that. So yeah, I mean, I'm currently in a position more where I'm balancing work and school and all these things, and it is tough. But I think with some work, I muted myself by accident. You can find a nice balance. Also, schedule planning, just having a calendar, I use this program called Trello that like I can split all of my interests into and know where things are at. So
that's good stuff. Tools. Other thoughts on work-life balance? That's a challenge for everyone, regardless of whether you're a student. Katie?
I would just add in that, I used to do this thing when I was in college where I was working a couple of jobs, I was in a couple of organizations, just trying to do way too much at the same time. And so what I used to do was kind of insane, but I would literally break out every role that I played. So I would count a class as a role, like I'm a biology student, or I'm a psych student, and I would write down all the tasks I had in my brain for each different role I played. And so that's everything from classes to being in the different organizations like my sorority or student government or relationship violence and sexual assault prevention. I would write down all the things I had to do in those different things. And then I'd also make sure I was including one of my roles as being a friend, one of my roles as being a sister, one of my roles as being a daughter. And so then I would take those items and I'd look at that list and I would sit with it and say, what has to happen in order to continually improve my life? What is stuff that actually in the long run makes a difference? And so I would look at that to-do list and figure out what could I, take off, what would be nice to do if I had free time. And then I'd plug that into my calendar where I had blocks in. And that was kind of how I stayed sane, was just really interrogating my to-do list, right? Of, okay, it would be really nice if I folded all of my laundry and had everything perfect by Wednesday, but if that means I'm not going to get 8 hours of sleep, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, fold it out, make it good, but I'm not going to rush myself to do this specific thing a specific way if it means that long-term I'm not healthy, I'm not successful, and I'm not happy.
Yeah, I can jump on that. One, keep a planner. Always just have a planner. Keep your calendar, like Aaron said, like that. I would not have passed a single class if it weren't for that. But make sure you get the basics down. Like, make sure you're taking care of your mind, body, and soul, whatever that means. And if that's not covered, then you need to cut some stuff off of your calendar, your schedule, Definitely, keeping that planner and being good to yourself and being forgiving of yourself too. Like, you should have your to-do list and you should be, knocking things off of that. But that some days are better than others, and sometimes I have ADHD, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think that a lot of people have to be forgiving of themselves, and then know that as long as your intentions are set and you have your goals and you have your to-do list still there, you're keeping track of all those things, and then it will happen. But just keep track of your stuff.
Thank you. To the students who are with us, this is a fantastic opportunity to have your voice be heard, to a little practice networking. If you have any questions, we would love for you to unmute that mic, and or you could also put it in the comments if you like. That's so boring though. We'd much rather hear your voice and hear you speak.
I promise we don't bite.
Okay, looks like we've got more or less a question directed for me. I will respond to that question regarding opportunities in sociology. We could address that a bit. I guess what sorts of majors, Katie, did you see from UTA in the roles that you brought on?
So with this specific one, we were looking for some marketing, communications, and arts related majors. So we kind of had narrowed our focus down. That doesn't mean, though, that sociology would not be a relevant degree. I got a degree in history and ended up working here. And so, you know, a lot of the times the things that you're learning in that sociology degree, you have those transferable skills, right? You have the critical thinking, you know how to analyze a group, you know group dynamics, and that stuff comes in handy a lot when you're working with the community and trying to bring together people. And so, you know, if you see an internship such as this one, right, and you have a sociology degree, it may not be the research experience you're looking for, but it can provide you, if you articulate those transferable skills you've gained from your degree, it can provide you a more well-rounded background that will make you a more stronger, competitive applicant in the next thing you want to do, because it shows that you have a wider perspective than the average person might.
Right, and it's wise to explore, you know, to take part in these kinds of panels, because you learn about all the different kinds of opportunities that might be available within an organization that you weren't aware of. You know, I see that with students a lot. They just don't understand all of the different kinds of roles that you'll sometimes see in an organization. Right, I was a social studies major, same situation. A lot of psychology, a lot of sociology, a lot of history. So I can relate. Other questions from the students? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that as a no. We'll keep an eye on the chat in case anyone has any questions. We don't want to miss you. We want to give you an opportunity to participate. But Katie, I just had a couple questions because I'm hoping that some of our employer partners or potential partners might be tuning in to these spotlights and have some of the same kinds of questions and concerns you were addressing and setting up your program. So we're hoping to educate employers as well as students. I was curious, you know, what you would say some of your greatest challenges were in getting the program started.
I think first was trying to figure out how to be flexible but structured at the same time. We wanted to allow our interns to be able to work other jobs or do other things, since we were only doing 15 hours a week. And so figuring out a good way to manage their schedules and know who's going to be in when was really important. And one of the best tools I found to do that was actually the shifts tool in Teams. I think, David, you showed me that. But in Teams, they have an entire function that really helped me see, okay, this is where everybody's at, this is how they're going to be scheduled, and this is when I can set up meetings if I want this person and this person in at the same time. And so that was really that was a really helpful tool, especially in the pandemic era where we're trying to balance. Sometimes people want to work online, and sometimes people want to come in the office, and so doing a hybrid, that's just scheduling really helped with that.
What type of, I know everyone is interested in, this is a hot time for recruitment, and it's challenging to get in front of students on a college campus. There's so much competition for their attention. But what sorts of recruitment strategies do you felt like helped you most in terms of, you know, getting the word out? I mean, employers use all sorts of career development platforms. Obviously, we're a Handshake school, so we're using Handshake. We just brought on a project-based platform called Parker Dewey to offer micro internships. But what kinds of promotion and advertising do you feel was most effective in getting word out?
So the Handshake platform was an awesome tool to use, and I think that did help us spread the word. Other things that we did, because Garrett and I are UTA alum, I feel like we kind of got to cheat a little bit, because we posted on our LinkedIn, and then we could share it with our friends that were still at the university and say, hey, please share these in your networks. I reached out to a lot of the advisors for the different colleges that targeted the different majors we wanted and asked them to share it with the groups. And that helped a lot. We shared it on our downtown Arlington, Texas Facebook page. We shared it pretty much on all of our social platforms. And then we just made sure to keep talking about it. You know, whenever we're having conversations with the staff at UTA we typically work with, or student leaders we work with, we ask them to help share the program and get the word out for us. And so just having that strong collaboration and having a lot of different streams of getting the message across I think really helped.
I found out about the internship program through a student group Discord server. Um, so, I'm part of a student organization. We have a Discord server, and that's how we communicate. And one of the student leaders just put the link for the handshake listing in there. So
that's really helpful.
Discord is actually really surprisingly great to find jobs. They actually have groups where they send internship opportunities as well for your particular major as well.
I know one other question that students always like answered from employers, Katie, is what kind of characteristics did you look for? I know that's kind of general for potential interns. What was most important to you, or how would you say candidates can really stand out based on what you saw in your search process?
Right. So in our search process, I mean, we were trying really hard to create a well-rounded team. And so to me, it was important to understand what every person I was interviewing, how their individual strengths interacted, to see what it was that they would bring to the team. So when I was looking at it, I was kind of juggling, okay, this person's really good at this, and this person's really good at this. And if we want it to look well-rounded, we need these types of characteristics. And so for a team-based internship, kind of like ours was, one of the biggest factors to me was how well are you going to work on a team? Can I trust you to be collaborative? Can I make sure that you are a type of person that will help other people and, not get too worried about who's getting credit for what, but more focused on, sharing resources and more focused on getting the work done well. I think that, let's see, what was the other thing? Other things that I looked for, people that were comfortable with fast-paced environments. Ours is very. We have a very small staff, and so whenever we're doing things, people that are comfortable with, just being a little bit uncertain about what is going to happen and knowing that they'll get the information as they need it, but being comfortable with not always knowing all of the details. That takes a special type of person, and so that was important to me when I was looking for people to fill the position. And most importantly, was just looking for people that were genuinely passionate about making their area better. You can't replace invested passion in things. It's what makes our candidates stand out the most, is when they really care about the work that they're going to do.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, David, you're muted.
I am muted. Thank you for that. I almost made it through without doing that.
Close.
Once. I was this close. It's showing passion and excitement, in a job interview, right? I mean, you get so nervous, sometimes, and you've got the script in your head, and you prepared for these questions, and you sit down and you become robotic, because you're so nervous. You're afraid maybe to show enthusiasm. I think that's really important. We used to talk to students a lot about not being afraid to show enthusiasm and to be excited to be there, and to smile, and things like that, right? To show that they're happy to be a part of it. Garrett, Aaron, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap things up? Anything that we didn't cover? Any advice that you'd like to give that you think would be helpful?
I guess I can start. It's just the chasing your passions, and I feel like a lot of us go and we're in our majors and we think this is what we're going to do for the rest of our lives, but really, like, I wasn't exposed to everything that I could be in my life, and so it's just really exciting to get around and explore, and the more people you get and the more curious you are about things and open-minded and listen to yourself on what you really want to do, the more that you'll find, and the more other people will help you find that. So I guess finding a mentor goes along with that really well. It's just somebody that you respect a lot, and they'll have their own opinions and whatnot. So just talking to people and getting out of your comfort zone. So that's where growth happens.
Along those lines, I mean, I'll say that as a student at UTA, you're in Arlington, Texas. You're spending a lot of time in Arlington, Texas. If you just get involved in the community and you go to events, you volunteer like we've been talking about, and you get to know this city a bit more, you'll probably fall in love with it, like I have. Like I through the last year of my life, getting involved with the community and then doing this internship program, I've really grown to love Arlington and grown to really appreciate this community. So it's there. Just gotta make those connections and put a little time in. But it's a really wonderful community to be a part of.
Katie, anything you'd like to add, mention, or even promote before we wrap things up?
The last thing I was thinking that I wish I'd said earlier is just number one, the most important thing throughout your professional career is having a growth mindset. You do not need to know everything all at the same time. You do not need to be perfect at the things that you're doing. You do need to be able to take criticism, to learn from mistakes, and to let go of the mistakes that you've made. That way you can keep building on being a better professional. And I think that helps so much just with teamwork and with a bunch of different things, is just look at every opportunity, not in terms of how can I prove my worth, but in terms of how can I learn more?
Right. Yeah. Thank you all so much. You've been fantastic. Really appreciate you spending your lunchtime with us. Students, same. We appreciate that time's valuable, and we appreciate you being here during that time. I want again to remind you that you'll find links to more information in the comments section. Please be sure that you visited those links and check out all the information that we provided there. You've got LinkedIn connections, you've got website URLs, you've got a lot of good stuff there. Join our groups, follow us for more information in terms of openings on LinkedIn as well, and in our student group. And again, thanks to Downtown Arlington for the partnership. We're very grateful for that and for providing these opportunities to UTA students. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Best of luck the rest of the semester. You all take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.